in 60 seconds. Monday Night Football here in Florida, right around the corner.
For the Jaguars, Tom Coughlin. Coach, Mark Brunell is your starting quarterback. What are his talents that will make the difference for the offense in tonight's ball game?
He's aggressive. He's competitive. He's passed all the medical tests. He's ready to play. He's had 2 weeks of practice. He's our leader. We put the ball in his hand.
Coach, thank you very much. And Al, he's got a very fresh arm, and he is ready to go.
He did a tremendous job, as you know, last year, Lynn, and capped the season by going to the Pro Bowl and being named that game's most valuable player. There he is, out for 44 days, injured on the 9th of August in New York, and ready for action, and he'll see action very swiftly because Norm Johnson will kick off to the Jaguars, who send Mike Logan and Willie Jackson back deep. First time ever. Monday Night Football in Jacksonville. Crowd standing, and we're underway. A one-hopper fielded at the 9-yard line by Mike Logan. Up past the 30 and to the 32. Randy Fuller makes the tackle. Mark Brunell played his college ball at the University of Washington, drafted by Green Bay, on the bench back of Brett Favre there for a couple of years, and traded to Jacksonville when this franchise came into existence. Had a tremendous second half of the season in 1996. Natron Means, their feature back. Halleck is the blocking back. Smith and McCardle, outstanding wideouts. Brown, the tight end. And up front, a mammoth offensive line. Pacelli, Coleman, Wydell, Tilsky, and Searcy. Leon Searcy, a former Steeler. And Brunell to throw on first down, and it's off the fingertips of the tight end Pete Mitchell, who's been relatively sparingly used to this point this season. Defensively, the Steelers play a 3-4. Harrison, Steed in the middle, and Henry. The linebackers, Gilden, Kirkland, Holmes, and Greg Lloyd, who was hurt all of last season except for the opener. Wolford and Fuller are the corners. Lake and Perry are the safeties. Chad Scott, their #1 draft choice, rookie corner from Maryland, hurt. Not in uniform tonight. Randy Fuller takes his spot. 2nd and 10, and it's Means, and he runs right into Levon Kirkland, who, despite playing a couple of seasons with Kevin Green, who got a lot of publicity, and the great Greg Lloyd, year in and year out, Kirkland does the job for Pittsburgh.
And we'll see right away, as all of a sudden Jacksonville is in a passing situation, what the Steelers are going to try to do to Mark Brunell, and that is, I would almost bet you, they're going to come with the blitz. They're a blitzing football team. They do it very well. Let's see what they do right here.
James Stewart is their 3rd down back. He aligns next to Brunell out of the shotgun. And Mark to throw on 3rd and 10, and completes the pass to Keenan McCardle for a first down, to the delight of 73,000. Coverage by Darren Perry.
And good coverage with the 6 DBs back there. There was no blitz. Brunell had all the time in the world, and the man was wide open. A lot of time. Steps up into the pocket. It's the lead leg. He's a left-handed thrower, and it's the lead leg that he has to step up that is wearing that knee brace.
First down of the game. Jacksonville from the 47. Back to the ground. Means to the outside. Turns the corner and just does get into Pittsburgh territory. Gang tackled. The first guy to hit him was the corner, Randy Fuller. And on the sidelines is the backup quarterback, Steve Matthews, who came to this team at the end of August and guided them to the win 2 weeks ago against the New York Giants.
What he did with only a handful of practices, and there was their backup quarterback, Rob Johnson, that took them to a win over the Ravens the opening week of the season, and between the two of them, just 2 remarkable performances. So 3 games, 3 different starting quarterbacks here for the Jags.
6-man front on 2nd down and 6, and a little swing pass to Ty Halleck, and the converted tight end takes it to the 46-yard line, setting up a 3rd and 3. Randy Fuller in on the action again, the defensive back.
Jaguars actually have a 3rd quarterback, guys. Jim Miller, who a year ago opened the season for the Pittsburgh Steelers as their starting quarterback right here in Jacksonville. Lasted about 3 quarters. Out he came. There he is.
They actually have one too many quarterbacks, Frank. Somebody's going to have to go when Johnson gets healthy. Again, the flick out to Halleck. Good for a couple yards. Good open field tackle by Fuller.
3rd and 3, and they give it to Means, and pulls his way for a first down to the 41. Appeared to be initially stopped and worked in behind Tilsky and Searcy, the right guard and right tackle. First down, Natron Means and the Jaguars.
Well, largest offensive line in the game today, 320 pounds. If you have short yardage and you're a running back, this is the line you'd love to run behind.
Take a look at this hole that we're going to show you here to the right side. Everything's sealed off to the inside. Derek Brown, the tight end, gets a good seal-off block. Tilsky pins everybody back to the inside. And Natron, he is a load when he's taking it up in there, when he's going forward.
Against 3 down linemen, they go to the air, and it's McCardell making the catch and a first down to the 26-yard line. So Coughlin has watched his team move from its 32 all the way down to the Pittsburgh Steelers 26.
Well, this offensive line is on a mission tonight, you can tell, and that is to protect their quarterback, Mark Brunell. Here's Keenan McCardell, getting a lot of respect from Randy Fuller and getting a lot of area in which to turn up and take that football.
Take it from me as an old offensive lineman. When you know your quarterback is a little bit nicked, when you know he's playing hurt, you do anything to keep your guy from laying a hand on him.
From the 26, look at that protection. And look at that pass, and it's caught by Jimmy Smith. It'll be first and goal. Now looks like he hasn't missed 44 minutes, much less 44 days.
Steelers again. They brought the blitz this time. It was picked up beautifully. And again, Brunell had all the time in the world. But they picked up the blitz, gave Brunell the time, and he fired it right to Jimmy Smith.
Well, one of the things we're seeing here early is not just the performance of the Jaguars, but it has been the inability of the Steelers secondary to really play sound coverages. They've been having this problem since the very beginning. The Jaguars are just exploiting an ongoing problem for Pittsburgh.
3 tight end set. That means it's Means, and Means takes it to the 1-yard line. Second down and goal. Tom Coughlin, hired by the Jaguars the year before they started to play out of Boston College. He was the coach there. And Bill Cowher has been around now 6 seasons, since 1992, and has taken his team to the playoffs every year.
There's Jim Haslett, their defensive coordinator. He's working down on the sideline, and it has been somewhat of a rocky go here for the Steelers very early here in this 97 season, but their secondary has not been cohesive.
Second and goal, 10th play of the drive. Again, the 3 tight end set. Natron Means looking to the end zone, and he's in there. Touchdown, Jacksonville.
And it's almost just tough to deny this offensive line. This surge off the line of scrimmage was terrific with Means right behind it. Very effective drive.
Baselli pins his guy to the inside. Greg Lloyd really untouched, unable to make the tackle. Greg Lloyd flies up through the hole, but Natron goes to the inside of him. And once he's got that body lean, once all you get are the shoulder pads of Natron Means, it's virtually impossible to keep him from picking up at least 2 or 3 yards. You have got to somehow get under those pads. When he's got the body lean, he's unstoppable.
Mike Hollis for the extra point. Jags go 68 yards in 10 plays. First time ever, Monday Night Football in Jacksonville. A dream beginning for the Jaguars. 7-0. Is being brought to you by the new Dodge. It's about change. Coors Light, proud partner of the John Wayne Cancer Institute and their search for a cure. Dollar Rent-A-Car with low rates right at the airport. Dollar makes sense. And Circuit City answers in every department. Low prices all over the store.
I'm sure that Tom Coughlin in his waking moments, we look at Greg Lloyd, who had a shot at Natron Means and couldn't get it done, but I'm sure that Coughlin has gone through a lot of different scenarios in trying to envision how this game would get started. I'm not sure he dared dream one as perfect as this, where they get the ball first offensively. Mark Brunell is throwing pinpoint passes with excellent pass protection, and they drive the length of the field for a touchdown.
And only looked at a couple of blitzes. Yeah. I'm sure he expected much more. With a gimpy quarterback, the Steelers love to blitz. They only gave him a couple.
An absolutely perfect beginning for Jacksonville.
2 rookies are back there. Will Blackwell from San Diego State, flanked by Mike Adams from Texas. Mike Hollis to kick off. He had 3 touchbacks in the Giant game 2 weeks ago. Taking it to 1. Will Blackwell, the San Diego State rookie, out past the 30. A flag is thrown. You saw that come into your shot. And he's inside the 20. and they can't tackle him at the 10, and for the moment it's a touchdown pending the call. Ron Zook, the special teams coach. Coughlin is upset, but Zook is going to be a lot more upset than Coughlin apparently in a second. He will be. It's against Pittsburgh, so back it comes.
Holding number 54 of the return team doing a run back. 10 yards. Will be first down.
Dante Jones with the hold. So Jerry Austin makes the call. Zook for the moment elated, but back it comes with 9:30 left in the first. 7-0 Jags. Kicking an extra point with Cordell Stewart, the quarterback. Bill Cowher naming him before the start of training camp. There was no quarterback controversy in Pittsburgh. And Stewart to throw on first down and guns it complete for a gain of 12 to Yancey Thigpen. First down Pittsburgh. The rest of the offense. Jerome Bettis, the bus out of the backfield. Tim Lester, the blocking back. Thigpen, who made that last catch, and Charles Johnson, an excellent wideout. Mark Bruner, despite a broken toe, the tight end tonight. And up front, John Jackson, a good one. Will Wolford, the veteran. Damani Dawson, as good as they come in the middle. Tom Mislinski for the injured Brendan Stye, and the veteran Justin Strelzik. First down at the 33 out of a double tight end set. And it's Jerome Bettis bunched up in the middle, picking up 2 up to the 35-yard line. Second down and 8. Now the Jaguars with Loggeman, the ex-Jet, Yurkovich, the ex-Packer, Davey, and Clyde Simmons, longtime veteran. Kevin Hardy, Brian Schwartz in the middle, and Eddie Robinson, the one-time Oiler, doing a nice job. Beasley and the hard-hitting Thomas at the corners. Davis and Hudson are the safeties. Second down and 8. Pittsburgh from the 35. Tim Lester and John Whitman in the backfield along with Bettis, who gets the ball, and Bettis picks up 3. Jerome coming off a game in which he gained 134 yards to spark the win against Washington. A third down and 5. Dick Jerome, the defensive coordinator. Dick LeBeau had been the defensive coordinator and moved on to the Cincinnati Bengals. But Bill Cowher puts his imprint on the defense.
Bill Cowher, an old defensive specialist himself. You're right about that, Al. That's his expertise.
Third down and 4 from the 39-yard line as Stewart pump fakes, guns it deep. Johnson is open. He's inside the 20 and takes it to the 11-yard line. And we talked about the fact the Steelers did not have a single play over 21 yards in 2 games, and here they connect for 49.
Stewart had all the time in the world to throw that football, and there was inside-outside coverage, and Johnson was right between the top of your screen. Now you'll see the cornerback playing underneath, playing soft. He's going to get help coming over from the middle. That's Dave Thomas, the cornerback. Here comes the help in Hudson, but he didn't get there in time.
Yeah, somehow Thomas thinks Hudson has that deep outside, and Hudson doesn't do it. He doesn't get there.
First down from the 12, Jerome Bettis. Takes it about halfway to the goal line, gets to the 6. It'll be 2nd and 4. The safety Hudson comes up to make the tackle.
Well, part of that pass was made possible by the other really good offensive line in this football game, and that's the one that plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers. We've documented them for years, one of the best run blocking units in the National Football League, if not the best. Here they are right here, trying to give Jerome Bettis a little something to the right side. Between Bettis and Means, we've got 2 real big men running the football tonight.
Second down and 4. Blitz. Stewart doing what he does so craftily for the touchdown. We mentioned electrifying at the beginning of the game, and he shows you there what he can do. You know about Stewart. He was called Slash because he can run, he can catch, he can throw, he can do a lot of things, and he put it all together on that series.
Well, he was about 90% a couple of weeks ago, and you could see it when he was running and scrambling against Washington. Not anymore. He makes a couple of good cuts here. He's wearing a knee brace on the left knee. Watch him plant here. Put that head down, sees the end zone, and gets it. He's above 90%. He is 100%, and he is some athlete.
Norm Johnson for the point after. They signed Chris Jackie from Green Bay, but he has a hip flexor, so they brought Johnson back and he ties the game.
Talk about impressive. You get a touchdown called back, a kickoff return for a touchdown brought back rather than getting into the dumper. What do? You drive it down the field for the tying touchdown. Excellent work by Pittsburgh.
Stewart scoring the touchdown. Chan Gailey calling the plays, the offensive coordinator, watching his team rebound after the penalty had nullified the touchdown. And now Johnson's kick, an angled kick, taken at the 6-yard line by Willie Jackson. And he brings it back to the 26-yard line. The Jags will take over at that spot. Fred McAfee makes the tackle. Another look at Stewart going in to tie the game. Great beginning in Jacksonville. 9 minutes in, we're tied 7-7.
At the 26.
Giving us a spirited beginning to this one. Mark Brunell at quarterback for the Jaguars led them down the field. And Cordell Stewart answered with an 80-yard quick drive of his own. We're tied 7-7. Jaguars have the ball for the second time at their own 26-yard line. Stewart and Bettis resting up as Natron Means takes it up to the 30-yard line. And you're right, Dan, it's like mirror images here with Means and Bettis. But on the first drive with Brunell, Mark was sharp after his first pass was incomplete. He hit Keenan McCardell a couple of times and then linked with Jimmy Smith, and that set up the Jacksonville touchdown.
Now, the one thing that hasn't happened yet is Brunell being pressured. He hasn't had to move under pressure. He hasn't had to run with the football. He hasn't been hit yet.
2nd and 6. Protection is great again, and he throws it away, and there's a flag down at the 28-yard line. Jerry Austin is the official.
Greg Lloyd, bottom of your screen, just coming across the line of scrimmage, trying to guess with it.
Number 95 to the defense. 5 yards. Repeats it now.
Greg Lloyd, who last September 1st in the opening game of the season, 1996.
Right here
in Jacksonville, tore his knee up, had reconstruction surgery, and has come back, they say, 100%.
Well, this is one of the reasons that Mark Brunell to date has not been pressured. The biggest offensive line in the history of the National Football League, averaging almost 321 pounds per guy. They are good, and they are whoppers.
2nd and 1. Brunell pump fake, goes deep, but throws that out of bounds, intended for McCardell, who'd gotten behind the defender on the play, Donnell Wolford.
Ooh, and that was, Brunell would like to have that back again. He was wide open. He ran right by Wolford. Wolford has had a lot of trouble thus far this season. The first 2 games, a little hesitation, and it caught Wolford. And he's flat-footed, and had that been led to the inside, that's a quick 6.
Well, Donnell was turned. Did you see he was turned and running, and when he has to make a stop, he's got to pivot 180 degrees. Not the best of technique.
3rd and 1, and they give it to Means, and the Pittsburgh defense stiffens as Nolan Harrison broke through to make the tackle. So big Natron Means can't find any room at all on a 3rd and 1, and the Jaguars to punt. Harrison, the ex-Raider. Bill Cowher has watched his defensive unit have to insert 5 new starters, including Harrison.
Trying to run over to the right side, right over Searcy, the right tackle, a former Steeler, and it was stuffed by Harrison.
An outstanding piece of work by Nolan Harrison.
Now Brian Barker, who's done a nice job this year to punt. Will Blackwell is going to let it bounce. It bounces at the 29-yard line. And is covered up at the 27, and a flag comes in at the end of the play. Special teams coach Ron Zook.
Well, Jacksonville, certainly Bucky Brooks acting like it hit one of the Steelers. That's what Jacksonville is maintaining, that when that ball hit the ground, it touched one of the Pittsburgh players. If you didn't get a signal.
Ineligible man downfield. Larry Pasquale, who's been a coach for 19 years, the Jaguars special teams coach.
We have illegal touching on the kicking team. Number 22 went out of bounds and came back in and was the first to touch the ball. That is a foul. That penalty is declined. First down, Pittsburgh.
So they take the play. They'll get the ball at their own 28. 4:33 left in the period. Tied 7-7. Back in Jacksonville, Steve Matthews, who led the Jaguars to their win against the Giants, and Mark Brunell, the starter, who's back tonight, looking on as the Pittsburgh Steelers take over at their own 28-yard line. .433 left in the quarter. And it's Jerome Bettis over the right side up to the 30-yard line for a gain of 2. It'll be second down and 8. Here is tonight's the Home Depot coaches fact. Bill Cowher, a 10-1 career record on Monday Night Football, and that's the best by any coach who has coached a minimum of 10 Monday night games. His only loss 2 years ago in Miami, 23-10.
He loves to see us coming.
Second down and 8 from the 30-yard line. And that is caught by Charles Johnson for a first down up at the 40-yard line. There's Cowher. Meanwhile, if you look at the bottom of that very same list, the guys who've not had good records on Monday night, it's pretty amazing when you think about it. Of the guys who've coached at least 10 games on a Monday night, the 3 worst records are owned by Joe Gibbs, Sam Weich, and Mike Ditka. Looks like NBC's pregame show.
2 out of the 3 in the Hall of Fame as coaches as well.
First down from the 40-yard line. And Stewart loses the ball. It's a loose football. At the 38-yard line, Tony Brackens created the fumble. He knocked it loose, and Jerry Austin says Jacksonville football. Eddie Robinson recovered, but there's the man who created it, Brackens.
There is a limit to how long you can stand in the pocket and not expect to get hit, especially from behind. You know the pass rushers have gone past you, which is the case here. There comes Brackens from behind. He gets hit in the front by Yurkovich, and his arm was not moving forward. That is a fumble. Good work by the official.
And only a 3-step drop, too, Dan. That was supposed to be released quickly. It wasn't, and the Steelers paid the price.
You wonder if Cordell's knee or something kept him from leaving. He should have left the pocket and tried to create something.
And this is Means taking it to the 29-yard line behind a Derek Brown block.
Natron came late to the Jaguars a year ago, and he was late taking over as a starter, but he had just erupted in the playoffs. Had a great game against Buffalo. Had a great game, 175 yards there, 140 yards against Denver. Just had a terrific playoff.
He's been rejuvenated after 3 years in San Diego. There he is again. Remember, he helped, as he picks up the first down, lead the Chargers to the Super Bowl following the '94 season. But his conditioning was a problem. He'd been holding out in San Diego, and then Bobby Beathard finally said, "You're released." Jacksonville picked him up. He bided his time on the bench here, took over last December, and has been terrific ever since.
In the '94 season, he had over 1,300 yards rushing. He can explode. And particularly, what a pleasure for a running back to operate behind this offensive line. They are huge.
He certainly likes the beaches, though, doesn't he? Goes from the beaches of the Pacific to the beaches of the Atlantic.
From the 26-yard line, Brunell throws, and it is caught by Jimmy Smith at the 16-yard line. That's close to a first down with forward progress. Jason Gilden came in that time and put a lick on Brunell.
Yeah, he actually got touched. This is big news so far in this game. Mark Brunell actually got hit on that play.
Boy, these two outside receivers, Jimmy Smith and Keenan McCardell, they are extraordinary. They are great targets, and they have tremendous speed and really fine hands.
Smith with 83 last year, McCardell with 85. A lot of production.
It's a first down, and Natron Means over the left side, working to the outside, takes it to the 14. Tripped up by Levon Kirkland. The ball is loose. Steelers think they have it, but it was whistled dead.
Levon Kirkland, he brings about as much to the table as any linebacker in this game does when he makes a hit. Natron a little slow getting up. He's going to go to the sideline as Stewart comes in. But when you get a 274-pound middle linebacker, when he hits a guy, he's been hit. He brings a little snap and a little pop when he delivers a lick on somebody.
With Stewart in there, you don't lose a lot with Means coming out. He was a starter before Means got here.
Second down and 8 in the waning seconds of the first quarter, and Brunel has to take a timeout. So with Means out and Stewart in on second down, and we'll look at the Pittsburgh defensive alignment. Mark takes Jacksonville's first timeout. College football coming your way on Saturday on ABC. Doubleheader. Except on the West Coast, the regional early action, Ohio State, Missouri, Virginia, North Carolina, Texas, Rice. And then the featured attraction, 3:30 Eastern time, Notre Dame goes into Ann Arbor, and Dan will be there. Notre Dame against Michigan. And on the West Coast at 4 o'clock only, Frank's Trojans against the University of California. And guys, we go to Charlotte next week. Jacksonville for the first time on Monday night tonight. Next week, the Panthers host the 49ers at Ericsson Stadium in Charlotte.
Little NFC West action there, and
49ers coming off a big win over Atlanta, undefeated thus far.
And the Panthers, I think it's been well documented how they have played these last couple of years against the 49ers.
Second down and 8. Stewart in the game, number 33, backer Brunel. With a half a minute to go in the quarter, Brunel throws off his back foot, and it's caught by Derek Brown, a former #1 draft choice of the Giants who came down here a couple of years ago. He's tackled by Kirkland a little short of the first down at the 7. It'll be third and a short 1.
Brown a big target, and when you got those two outside receivers, Keenan Marcardell and Jimmy Smith, they're going to down here often draw the double coverage, and you're going to get that kind of coverage, linebacker coverage on Derek Brown. Big target.
That's the end of the first quarter. Pittsburgh 7, Jacksonville 7, and Monday Night Football returns after this message and a word for ABC stations. Our blimp tonight, the Bud 1 airship hovering high above Alltel Stadium in Jacksonville. Yes, this is the stadium once known as the Gator Bowl. 3rd and 1 as we start the second quarter with Natron Means taking it to the 5 on a first down. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, and Lynn Swan as Monday Night Football comes to North Florida for the first time ever. And a good first quarter.
And you've got a 321-pound offensive line. Natron is back in the lineup. This is when you like to pound away. This is when you like to make the most of these guys.
Tom Coughlin's team at the 5-yard line with a double tight end set. First and goal. That's Rich Griffith going in motion, and a whistle before the snap.
Play of game on the offense. 5 yards. It is still first down.
Yeah, that'll make Coughlin look like that. They had so much going in terms of the formation and man in motion. They weren't looking at the clock.
That changes the play calling. That changes everything around. That's a major mistake. To give away 5 yards when you're on the 5-yard line. Little too much motion involved.
First and goal from the 10. That's Griffith in motion. Means with the ball to the right side, and knifing through is Levon Kirkland, number 99.
Well, the first thing is, if you can get Natron Means going parallel to the line of scrimmage, you are way ahead of the game defensively. That is not his strong point. It's not any running back's strong point unless you're Barry Sanders. But you turn this big body and get it going sideways, you've accomplished what you want to do defensively. He's not going to turn the corner on a good defensive football team.
Second down and goal from the 12. Game time, early second quarter. Cardell comes in motion, and they give it to Means, and that doesn't fool the Steelers. He's limited to a gain of 1. It'll be third down and goal from the 11. Lloyd and Henry converge on the tackle.
Going to change up on that call. The Steelers, of course, expecting pass. They come with Means on the ground again. And now definitely puts them in the pass. Now again, we'll be curious to see what Bill Cowher does. Will he come with the blitz? They've only gotten to Mark Brunell one time, even touched him one time. And they don't look like they're showing blitz.
3rd and goal. Stewart offset in the backfield. Great protection. Throws. It's caught by Jimmy Smith. Touchdown, Jaguars.
Randy Fuller is playing way off Jimmy Smith. You're down inside the 15-yard line. You've got to be up there playing that receiver tight. That was just pitch and catch on the part of Brunell.
Looked like the Steelers were sitting back in some type of a zone.
Top of your screen. You've got to be up there in the coverage.
Well, Fuller is playing zone. He's not locked up one-on-one. Now, whether that's right or not, Frank, I don't know, but he was playing a zone defense.
Well, when you're down that close, your zone, if you're playing it, you've got to be up in the man's face.
He's playing a nice zone back in the end zone.
The next county.
Hollis for the point after, so on 3rd and goal from the 11, the Jaguars convert, retake the lead, 12:36 to the half. Jacksonville 14, Pittsburgh 7.
Quarterback Mark Brunell, he signals out to Jimmy Smith. He reads the coverage. Randy Fuller playing almost back to the goal line, signals the slant. How obvious can we be? And delivers it for the touchdown. The Steelers playing a very soft, un-Steeler-like defense down there close to their goal line.
A 90s version of throwing it in the dirt.
Oh, isn't it?
Hollis kicks off. Blackwell, who had his return for a touchdown nullified on a holding call, is off to the races partially again as he takes it to the 42-yard line. Good run back. Tackled by Ty Halleck. Another look at Mark Brunell.
He realizes right away that the Steelers are sitting back 7 yards off his outside receiver. Look, that's so obvious. Everybody in this, but the only guy that needed to see it was Jimmy Smith.
Well, Randy Fuller might have taken a clue.
Brunell 7 of 9, coming back after the knee injury. 6 weeks of rehab, looking very sharp. Now Stewart with his team down by 7 on a roll after faking the give. And Cordell picks up about 6 before he steps out of bounds, forced by Eddie Robinson. Monday Night Football is being brought to you by the complete line of 1998 Lincoln Automobiles. Lincoln, what a luxury car should be. Miller Lite, now an official beer sponsor of the NFL. And Residence Inn by Marriott, room to relax, room to work, room to breathe.
Cordell gave the Steeler offense a little room to breathe right there. A successful first down play that picks up 6 yards.
2nd down and 5, and it's Bettis pulling his way just across the 50 into Jacksonville territory, tackled by Davis, setting up 3rd and short.
Good work by the Steeler offensive line then as Jacksonville shows the blitz, a run blitz, and they pick it up. They get good yardage.
Well, one thing about the up front guys for Pittsburgh, they're all veterans. These guys have been around for a while. Dawson, a 10-year guy. Jackson, a 10-year guy. Strelzik 8, Myslinski 5, Wolford 13. So an extremely veteran group. And Pittsburgh has to take a timeout, some sort of offensive confusion.
The play just coming in late, and Cordell Stewart looked at the play clock and knew he couldn't get it off. He had no choice.
Timeout Pittsburgh. Jacksonville up by 7. We're in Jacksonville. Next Monday night to Charlotte we go, the 49ers and the Panthers. Here after the timeout, 3rd down and 2 as Stewart throws, and it's caught at the 42-yard line, and the Steelers convert on a 1st down to Yancey Thigpen.
And this is, I think, where the Pittsburgh offense and Cordell Stewart are at their best. When he's on the move, when he breaks contain, he gets outside, he's in a position to really make something happen, especially in a 3rd and short situation like that, Frank. A lot of pressure on the defense.
He could have ran that himself, and he depended upon his arm. That's what they want him to do, though. They want him to throw the ball when he can. When he can't, don't be afraid to pull it down. He hesitated when he first started, but now he'll take it and pull it down and run with it, whatever the defense demands.
And they used the timeout and were able to convert. Stewart going deep, and it is tipped, and it's incomplete, and there's a flag down.
I think
back at the 48-yard line.
I think Charles Johnson was moving towards the line of scrimmage before the snap of the football.
He was.
You come in motion, boy, you have to be patient.
Illegal motion. Number 81 moving toward the line of scrimmage before the ball is snapped. 5 yards. Repeat first down.
Well, you gotta hold it back. You're in motion. You want to make that break. You want to get downfield and make the catch. Watch, he'll come into your picture here on the bottom. Right there. He starts making a subtle move. We'll see it better from this angle.
Boy, coming in as a receiver, though, you can look right at that football, and he should never have done that, and he knows that. You look at the ball. You don't listen to the count.
Just so anxious to get downfield and make a play.
First down and 15 from the 47. Stewart protected well, but it's batted in the air, and it's incomplete at the 34-yard line. Batted by the defensive tackle, Don Davey. It'll be second and 15 for the Steelers. Mentioned at the top, it's an important early season game for Pittsburgh, and it truly is, in the sense that Jacksonville would be 3-0 and the Steelers 1-2. And don't forget the Ravens are 3-1 right now in the same division.
Ball hits Davey right at the hairline.
Second down and 15. That was Stewart's first incomplete pass. And he's going to take off, but not according to Tony Brackens, who trips him up. The second-year defensive end out of the University of Texas.
And that's a set play. That was a draw play, quarterback draw, and Brackens upsets it.
Brackens jumps upfield and jumps around the block of John Jackson. How's this for a little athletic ability? Goes upfield around the tackle and still able to fall back inside and make the tackle.
Boy, and if he doesn't make that tackle, Stewart's got not only the first down, he's got big yardage.
Third down and 15 out of the shotgun from the Jacksonville 47. Four-man Jaguar rush. Stewart under pressure. Now he's going to take off. It'll be well short of the first down. He's run out of bounds by Eddie Robinson at the 39-yard line.
Good coverage by the secondary of Jacksonville. They had all the receivers covered, and finally Stewart had to pull it down, spin it to the sidelines. He knew he couldn't make it running. He kept looking for a receiver to come back, and he just couldn't uncover one.
Josh Miller now to punt it, and too far. He tried to angle it and float it, and did neither. Touchback to the 20. Only a 19-yard net punt, and the Jaguars get it back up by 7. Internet, Monday Night Online. You can reach it at abcmnf.com. And here it is, the offensive production tonight. Jacksonville, time of possession advantage. Total yardage, dead even. Brunell on first down from the 20, and Brunell gets taken down by Levon Kirkland. And at the end of that play, the mobility of Brunell came into question for the first time tonight.
Well, again, he is wearing that knee brace on the right knee. He tried to drive off it. He slipped. He didn't hurt himself at all. He just hasn't done that for a while.
And he really had nowhere to go. Kirkland playing the classic spy role where he was floating along at the line of scrimmage, just eyeballing the quarterback, tracing his movement. The minute he broke out of the pocket, Kirkland goes upfield and makes a good play.
And the Steelers' first sack of the season. It took them more than 9 quarters. Brunell on second and 21 over the middle. It's caught by Jimmy Smith, and he takes it to the 39-yard line. Second and long, and out of a big hole, stopped by Carnell Lake. Chris Palmer, the offensive coordinator in his first year, guiding this offense.
And again, confusion in the Steelers secondary. The corner to that side, I think it's Fuller again. He releases his guy like he's expecting zone. Lake heading to the outside. This just looks like a confusing piece of work by the Steelers secondary.
Well, their secondary has struggled through the first 2 games. They were killed by Dallas. They didn't do too well against Washington, and they look confused at the moment.
Darren Perry was headed for the deep outside.
They fake the give, they fake the end around, then Brunell throws, and it's fumbled, but not caught. Ty Halleck had it, was popped by Perry, and fortunately for the Jaguars, ruled incomplete.
Well, remember a year or so ago, they changed that rule. You got to come down with both feet, demonstrate possession that you have the football. You can have it in the air all you want. You have to get both feet down and demonstrate to that nearest official that you have the football under control.
He never had it.
Nope. Didn't put it away.
Pretty fine hit there by Perry. He and Carnell Lake would put it on you.
On 2nd and 10, Natron Means flag down, gets to the 47-yard line. Thrown by the umpire, and you know what that means. 99.9% of the time, holding offense.
Holding. Number 79 of the offense. 10 yards. Repeat, 2nd down.
Dave Waddell, the center.
Jacksonville back into a passing situation again. The Steelers lost 3 cornerbacks through free agency this past offseason. They have 5 defensive starters. They have a very complex defensive scheme, and they're notoriously slow starters. They have been all the time that Bill Cowher has been there, and they are really getting off defensively to a slow start this year. They have really struggled.
He losses Rod Woodson to San Francisco. The other corner, Willie Williams, to Seattle. 2nd and 20. Brunell throws, and that's tipped incomplete. They lost both defensive ends, and the other guy they're missing, of course, is Chad Brown, who led the team in sacks last year and opted to sign with Seattle.
And the other cornerback, Deion Figures, he also left. So it's kind of hard to weave in 5 new defensive starters.
There are the 5 that have departed and where they went. And I don't care how good your system, I don't care how good your coaches. It is difficult to incorporate that many new people and not have some misfires. And certainly, and there's their number 1 draft choice who's injured and out. So the Steelers, it's not totally unexpected that they're struggling defensively.
3rd and 20. They set up the screen. James Stewart slips the tackle out past the 40, and James Stewart picks up the 1st down with terrible tackling by the Steelers for the 43-yard line.
Once again, right before the snap, the Steeler defense was in total confusion. They had a man up at the line of scrimmage, a cornerback. He went racing back to get into whatever coverage he thought he was supposed to be in. But this is a very surprising to see the confusion we see in the part of the defensive unit of the Steelers.
But you can overcome confusion if somebody will just make a tackle. And there are going to be a whole string of missed ones starting right here. There's number 1 by Carnell Lake. There was a second one there by Gilden
from the 43. And the Steelers rising to the occasion now as Oliver Gibson, one of the backup linebackers, comes in, and there's a flag down at the 47-yard line. And this may be nullified by a face mask call. Jerry Austin, who refereed the Super Bowl last year, going over things with
striking
the line judge.
Thoughtful pose.
Yes. Mulling it.
Have a face mask. 5 yards.
That's Gibson.
On the tackler.
Well,
got his hand away from it, but it bobbed that head, and they're going to call it every time.
Natron had his hands on the face mask of Gibson as well.
He did.
Natron was the first one to put his hand on the face mask.
Line judge Ron Baines made the call.
The way Natron was sitting on the ground, it almost looked like he thought it was going to be called on him.
Look at this.
Well, this is another one going on over on the other side of the field. That's Coleman and Earl Holmes going at it.
Makes it 1st and 8. And Brunell going deep, going for 6. There is contact, but no flag. Jimmy Smith and Randy Fuller step for step.
Well, at least there was no confusion on that coverage, Frank. Fuller knows it's man-to-man, and he's going to stay with Smith.
And he did a great job, and basically Brunell just threw that as far as he could out of the end zone. No one was going to get that ball. Good coverage. Now watch number 29. Stride for stride with Jimmy Smith. In good position. Brunell saw that all the way, just overthrew it, and did it deliberately.
Fuller can play man-to-man, so can Donnell Wolford on the other side.
I think it's just a hesitancy of what is going on defensively for them at the moment.
They just look like some of them at times have thought they were playing zone, some man-to-man.
On 2nd down and 8 to the near side, and that's caught by Reggie Barlow. Back up wide out. Donnell Wolford, the ex-Bear. They got him when they lost Woodson. Makes the tackle at the 35-yard line.
Barlow in there because Jimmy Smith had that 60 or 70-yard wind sprint down the sidelines, and Smith will be back into the lineup.
And so far on this drive, the Jaguars are overcoming lots of obstacles. Remember, it started with a big sack against Brunell by Kirkland. Then they had a holding penalty on Wydell. They continue to overcome their problems and move the football.
3rd and a deuce out of the shotgun. Inside handoff to Stewart. And Stewart fights his way to the 33 and may have the first down. Tackled by Kirkland. Very close. Jerry Austin says move the chains. First down.
Stewart again was a starter before Natron Means. Stewart got shaken up and hurt in December a year ago. Means got in there, was spectacular in the playoffs, and he is now the starter, but they're not hurt. And James Stewart, the #1 draft pick in '95, comes into this football game.
That was not very good blocking at the point of attack. That was excellent work by James Stewart. He did most of that alone.
Bill Cowher said last night what's killing us is 3rd down conversions by the opponents, and that's killed them again tonight to this point as Means takes it to the 30. The Steelers have given up a first down coming into tonight's game 60% of the time to the opponents, and Jacksonville tonight 6 for 7 on 3rd down. So the problems continue for Bill.
You can't win allowing the other team to move the chains at that clip. 60% is an extraordinary figure in and of itself. 6 out of 7 to this point in time. The Pittsburgh Steelers are on the verge of getting themselves in quite a hole.
2nd and 8 from the 30-yard line. Brunell protected well. Flag comes in, and then finally with the coverage so good, Oliver Gibson gets the sack pending the penalty call.
And this is something against Jacksonville.
Holding against Jacksonville.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to take the penalty and give another down.
Holding, number 62 of the offense. That penalty is declined. 3rd down.
Ben Coleman.
So they will have the Jaguars use up a down, lose a little yardage, but unfortunately for Pittsburgh, puts Jacksonville in a 3rd down situation.
And in effect, move them out of field goal range.
Coleman, number 62. But when you have a gimpy quarterback, you're an offensive lineman, Dan. You're going to do anything to keep that man off him.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, though, as I said, for Pittsburgh, it's another 3rd down opportunity where Jacksonville's converting at an astounding rate.
3rd and 15. They have to get to the 23 to convert, and the pass is thrown away. That time it was Jimmy Smith with good coverage by Randy Fuller. 4th down, and they bring in the punting group.
Yeah, Fuller was all over Smith at that point.
Good time for Pittsburgh to stiffen.
Jaguars on top 14-7. Monday Night Football for the first time ever in Jacksonville. Jaguars, one of their goals, at least according to the front office, to make it to Monday night in year 4. Well, they beat the timetable. Courtney Hawkins, the ex-Tampa Bay Buck, back to receive the kick. Ryan Barker's going to throw, and it's caught at the 32-yard line. And to the 18 goes Dana Hall, the safety, the ex-49er, and a first down.
Oh, and we talked about all the troubles with the special teams on the part of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Surprise play, but these are plays that you work against, you talk about, you think about, you seldom see them, but they have got to be on the back of your mind if you're on that punt return team that this could happen.
Brian Barker, among other things, used to be listed as an emergency quarterback. Well, they sent out a 911 call on 4th and 15, and he converted.
So hard to keep track of everybody who's an eligible receiver in a punting formation. Dana Hall floats out, and listen to the crowd roar their appreciation to Tom Coughlin for showing some imagination.
Debuted in a town 1988. We were in Indianapolis. The place went crazy, and you can really feel it in Jacksonville. They've been talking about this all week. It's the lead story on every newscast. It's the front page of the paper today. Great night so far.
And then they really compounded the excitement here by introducing their offensive team, and they introduced Mark Brunell last, and this stadium was absolutely vibrating down to the foundation.
And after the fake punt, first down from the 16, and that is tipped. It was tipped by Carnell Lake, intended for Jimmy Smith. It'll be second down. Mark having trouble hearing the call.
And Randy Fuller seems to be the target tonight as far as Jacksonville is concerned. The right cornerback. And you look over there. You got inside help, and that ball was ticked, knocked away by Carnell Lake. And we might have been looking at another 6.
Might have been.
Smith has already scored once tonight. Jacksonville up 14-7. Means, the man who scored the other touchdown, takes it to the 9-yard line, and that'll set up a third and about 3, tripped up by Darren Perry.
Well, Natron has a great move to the outside, then that quick cut back to the middle. He knows where he can do the most damage, and that's going north and south, but he slides out there so quickly and then plants that outside foot, turns it up, and gets good yardage.
Just zone blocking by that Jaguar offensive line. Everybody just moves to the left, allows Natron to pick his own spot. What a huge collection of human beings on that front wall for Jacksonville.
Well, I'm glad I'm not Randy Fuller right now.
Third and a short 3. Inside give to Stewart, and the Steelers read it perfectly, and that's LaVon Kirkland who busts the play up.
Now give Jim Haslett, their defensive coordinator, the credit there. He came with the blitz, and it worked. He gambled that they were going to run the ball and run it up the middle.
And he's holding his arm or shoulder as he favors the right arm, does James Stewart.
Well, when you give LaVon Kirkland a run at the line of scrimmage, again, we documented 275 pounds. That hurts. That hurts when you give him a 4-yard head start.
Before the field goal attempt of 29 yards, the 2-minute warning. Jaguars lead by 7.
Green Bay's.
Carolina Panthers make their Monday night debut, speaking of cats, against the San Francisco 49ers. This is a 29-yard field goal attempt for Mike Hollis with Brian Barker to hold. And the kick is no good on the 16th play of the drive. So a drive kept alive by Barker's pass. And Larry Pasquale, the special teams coach, watching Hollis, who's been great so far this season, blow an easy one.
29 yards. He's been 4 or 5. He's a good short kicker and a good deep kicker, and just shaking his head. The ball was placed down. It looked right on rhythm. The grass is just a little tall. We did talk to some of the players and coaches tonight. They thought it was a little high, but this was just a miss by Hollis.
That drive for Jacksonville had a little of everything, didn't it? Sacks, penalties, fake field. A lot of work being done and no points.
Jacks leading by 7. Little screen pass. This is Courtney Hawkins. And the first-year Steeler, after 5 years at Tampa Bay, picks up 13. First down, tackled by Aaron Beasley.
Playing in his 6th year, and this is his first Monday night game for Courtney Hawkins.
And we've got a hurry-up offense here being run by Pittsburgh.
They have 2 timeouts left. Out of the gun. 4-man rush. Stewart over the middle. It's picked off at the 41 by Aaron Beasley. And Beasley takes it to the 32-yard line.
Oh, what a great interception by Beasley, who is really turning into a great cornerback. That ball had a lot on it. It would have been difficult even to handle by the receiver, and Beasley, with a diving effort, came up with the interception. His second-year man out of West Virginia. Look at this, steps in front. That ball was even deflected as he dove for it. Cordell Stewart trying to throw it in between 2 defenders and throw it a little behind. Charles Johnson picked off.
Well, it was thrown well behind Charles Johnson. He really didn't have any opportunity to catch that ball at all.
Now the Jaguars back in business. They have 1 timeout remaining. 1:21 left. Play clock is down to 4 as Brunell throws an out that's caught by Smith, who's tackled immediately by Fuller.
And they're going to say that even though Jimmy Smith didn't come down with his feet in bounds, that Fuller drove him out. That's a judgment call by the sideline official, and he gives it to the Jaguars.
Pretty good call, too. He would have come down, I think, inside. But again, they continue to work on number 29, Randy Fuller. This time he had pretty good positioning, but he would have come down with both feet in bounds had he not been hit, and that's the ruling.
And that is, you can't look how perfect the positioning is there by the official. Right there.
Ball is at the 25. They were just checking the chains here. Jerry Austin saying reset the play clock to 25. It was not a first down, so it's second down and inches.
3 wides now for Jacksonville.
And Brunell throws, and it's Smith again on an out. Jimmy Smith really developing, but he's no sudden star. This is a kid who was drafted by the Cowboys. They thought he'd be a star, but he broke his leg one year, had an appendectomy the next, had a very acrimonious parting with Dallas, was signed by the Eagles, released by them, and now he's really come into full flower here.
And again, Fuller playing very soft, playing off about 10 yards, even down deep in his own territory.
Keep in mind his 1,244 yards last year was #1 in the AFC. And he has arrived. Along with his teammate on the other side, Keenan McCardell, gives Mark Brunell as talented a pair of receivers as there is in this game.
And McCardell, like Smith, no sudden star either. He's been around, drafted by Washington, then he played with the Cleveland Browns, then he came here. And we go to Charlotte next Monday night. And there's Steve Young, left of your screen. Big day yesterday. The 49ers, despite the loss of Jerry Rice on opening day, riding to a 3-1 start under new head coach Steve Mariucci against the Carolina Panthers, knocked off by Kansas City yesterday, and all of a sudden vulnerable in their home stadium where they didn't lose a game last season. First time in Charlotte from Monday night next week.
Second week in a row with the left-handed number 8.
Yeah. First and 10 from the 18. Here come the Steelers. And Brunell throws and out of the end zone, intended for McCardell, but really intended just to avoid a sack by Carnell Lake.
That was a strong arm in that ball out of the end zone. A late blitz coming by the Steelers. They missed the snap count by a large margin, and yet they were able to get into Brunell's face and force him to throw it away.
Pretty good. Watch Brunell. He's going to be falling backwards here, falling completely away, and arcs this ball all the way out the back of the end zone.
Darren Perry on the blitz, and they left Lake back in coverage at second down and 10 at the 18-yard line. Now out of a split back set with 1:05 to play in the half.
Blitz again.
Brunell throws out at the 10-yard line by McCardell. A little short of the first down. It will be 3rd and 2. Tackled by Wolford. Under a minute left in the half.
Good read by McCardell and Brunell. Both of them reading the blitz. And McCardell becomes the hot receiver.
Saw Mark again tapping his helmet. He's having trouble getting the play electronically called in from the sidelines.
A couple of times he's run over to the bench to pick it up. So they are having problems.
3rd and 3. Brunell good protection. Fires into traffic. Threads the needle to McCardell. 1st and goal. And Jacksonville takes a timeout.
What a rifle shot by Mark Brunell. That was a John Elway, an Elway type pass. In fact, it was just a blue streak bullet. Frank, that ball was not easily handled.
I talked about it earlier. Both these outside receivers, McCardell, Jimmy Smith, great hands. Donnell Wolford, not bad positioning, but that ball had so much on it he couldn't make a play on the ball.
Boy, that's just beautiful work by McCardell. Brunell winds up, and boy, is that a smoker.
Well, I'll tell you, they're asking an awful lot of these two cornerbacks for the Steelers. Wolford, in this case, against McCardell. On the other side, we've seen it already this entire first half. Randy Fuller trying to stay with Jimmy Smith man for man and not getting any help. They don't have the tight end threat the Jaguars don't, and you would think that the Steelers could get a little more help to their cornerbacks because of that.
Jaguars 7 touchdowns on 10 drives in the red zone. Excellent. 1st and goal from inside the 2. Means is the outback. They take it to him. And Brunel under pressure, lost it incomplete. Intended for Rich Griffith, but the pressure was put on by Greg Lloyd.
Boy, and you get the matchup you want. You can have your tight end running a pattern with a defensive lineman covering him, Orpheus Roy. That's the zone blitz. That's where one of the defensive linemen drops back into coverage. Pretty good job by Roy running with the tight end.
Jacksonville does not have a timeout, and that really comes into play in terms of strategy. With this many seconds left, 2nd down and goal.
They just throw it in the end zone.
You could run it, though, and still stop the clock.
Brunel throwing back in the end zone, juggled and dropped. McCardell was wide open, but he had to do a toe dance and couldn't catch it.
He was so worried about having his feet in bounds that he lost concentration on the football.
Yeah, but he'll catch 9 out of 10 of those, and he knows it.
That's just a guy being distracted by trying to keep his feet in bounds. Look how open he is. Another huge mistake in the Steelers secondary. Again, they just let a guy wide open. Jim Haslett, their coordinator, has to be going wild.
And Pittsburgh now takes a timeout, their final one, to make sure they have the right people in defensively. They didn't have him defensively that time.
Well, Jacksonville is doing everything they can do to this point to try to keep from blowing Pittsburgh out of here. They miss a field goal. They drop a sure touchdown there. 13 seconds left in the half. Can Pittsburgh dodge a bullet one more time here before halftime?
Around 73,000 looking on tonight in Jacksonville. The stadium built as the Gator Bowl and then rebuilt to the tune of about $145 million when the Jaguars were granted an expansion franchise. And it was shocking. Remember, going back to that process, most people thought it would be Baltimore and St. Louis getting the teams. It turned out to be Charlotte and Jacksonville. Though Baltimore and St. Louis obviously wound up with their teams as well.
And both of them ended up spending probably more than an expansion team. I know they did in St. Louis.
3rd down and goal. We're now on a roll. Looking, throwing, and it's a throw it out of the end zone, and the Steeler defense is able to stiffen. 8 seconds left, 4th down, and in comes Hollis to try to tack on 3.
Well, the Jaguars, without a timeout, couldn't do much other than what you've just witnessed. And a couple of the first timeout they lost because the communication between the quarterback and the bench electronically, and of course they're responsible for that, and that really hurt them.
Now Hollis, who just missed a 29-yarder with Barker to hole. Same distance as an extra point. They'll spot it at the 10. 20-yard attempt. And that one was looking, but goes through. Not by much. But how much doesn't count. Jaguars tack on 3 more. And with 4 ticks left in the first half, it is now 17-7.
Brunel rolling out. There's just the threat of him running.
But even before, Frank, even before he broke out of the pocket, they let McCardell go back there.
Well, they were in that zone blitz down there on the goal line, and you don't get defensive linemen don't work on it too often.
A very awkward, we'll say, first half for the secondary and the defensive unit of the Pittsburgh Steelers. If they don't right their ship, so to speak, at halftime and tighten things up in their secondary, they're going to have a difficult time getting back in this football game.
1 fumble, 1 interception for the Steelers tonight, and they've been turned into 10 points. And that's the difference in the game, 17-7. As Hollis kicks off, the clock starts when a Steeler touches the ball, so barring a penalty, this will end the first half. A little ground ball fielded up at the 12-yard line. This is Mike Adams bringing it back to the 28, and that is the end of the first half. The unbeaten Jaguars of Jacksonville leading the Pittsburgh Steelers by a score of 17-7. Halftime activities coming your way, and to get them started, let's go to New York and Chris Berman. Chris.
All right, Al.
Accentuating the skyline of Jacksonville, downtown Jacksonville on the banks of the St. Johns River. In land area, this is the largest city in the contiguous United States. Some towns in Alaska are bigger. It's about 850 square miles in a metro area of over 1 million. I think the television rating here tonight might be pretty good, huh?
I would think so.
I didn't know that it was this big.
Everybody here has room to spread out.
Hollis's kick in the end zone, and tentatively Will Blackwell started to come out and then thought, And Cordell Stewart will begin his first drive of the second half from the 20-yard line as we take a look at the numbers through the first 30 minutes of play.
Of course, maybe the city owl goes about 20 miles out into the Atlantic. You ever think about that?
Check out that time of possession.
See Jacksonville, all the numbers in their favor, but those 2 turnovers have resulted in 10 points for Jacksonville over on the Steelers side. But time of possession, 21 minutes for Jacksonville. That has to be a weary Pittsburgh defense that's right now hoping their offense can generate some first downs and keep the ball for a while.
From the 20-yard line, it's Jerome Bettis, half a forgotten man. Johnson is looking around for a face mask call. He doesn't get it. Stopped by Pritchard. And one problem when you only have the ball 8 minutes in a given half, as did Pittsburgh, you do forget about your primary back.
And great backs like Bettis need that rhythm. This is a guy that really wants the ball 25 times a ball game. He's aided down here in Florida by the fact that it's a night game. Not nearly as hot as it could be. Not nearly as exhausting for these players.
On second down and 6, it's Bettis again, and this time the bus runs right into a bus stop at the 25-yard line. Tackled by 4 Jaguars. It'll be 3rd down and 5. Jerome Bettis began his career with a bang as a Ram, then wore out his welcome with the Rams, and over his last 17 games, as you see, all with Pittsburgh, 11 100-yard games.
Well, 3 Monday night games last year, 100 yards plus with him.
You can say wore out his welcome. He was not the recipient of much in the way of blocking when he finished up his career with the Rams. Jerome Bettis was reborn when he got behind these 5 guys in Pittsburgh.
Yep, a change of scenery was very beneficial. 3rd and 5, and it's caught by Yancey Thigpen for a gain of 7 up to the 32-yard line. George Jones stayed in as the 3rd down back and laid a nice block on a blitzing Jaguar.
Stewart and Thigpen right heads up on that blitz also. Thigpen giving a little down and in move. He was the hot receiver, and Cordell Stewart, with that pickup, was able to deliver the ball for the first down.
And Frank, as you well know, every time Cordell Stewart does that during a football game, a blitz adjustment, makes a good throw, his confidence grows.
From the 32-yard line, it's Bettis again, swinging to the outside, and then turns his shoulders and picks up 7, where he's tackled by Travis Davis.
When you're a cornerback or a safety coming up and you see Jerome Bettis developing a head of speed, already your head is aching as you have to step in there and make that stop. Big man, and when he sees you and he turns this corner, watch him drop the shoulder into it.
No heading.
That is a load, boy.
And no heading for the sidelines.
2nd and 3 from the 39. For Johnson in motion, it's the bus again, swinging to the outside. Here comes Bettis, first down, and bumped out of bounds at the 48-yard line. Travis Davis elbows him out.
Yeah, right. He'll hit you before he goes out of bounds.
Give Travis Davis some credit. He didn't go down there around the ankles trying to untie Jerome's shoes. He said, well, if he's going to stay high, I'll stay high, and let's just trade licks here.
2 guys who played together at Notre Dame.
But I'll tell you, he's awesome when he turns it upfield. It's the 2nd time he and Davis have collided, 2nd consecutive time. Jerome. Davis is going to say, hey, give me some linebacker help up there.
Blitz is picked up. Stewart throws, and a leaping grab is made by Charles Johnson as Pittsburgh gets the ball across the 50-yard line. Stopped by Beasley. Mentioned at the top that this was an important early season game. Make no mistake about it for the Steelers, because if they lose tonight, they're 1-2. They trail this team, Jacksonville, by 2 games already, and the Ravens are 3-1 in the Central.
And even though Jacksonville found themselves in the conference championship last year, they are not the division champions. This division has belonged to the Steelers. The Jaguars won it.
Bettis on 2nd and 7. Breaking tackles inside the 40. Big gain down to the 33-yard line behind a Tim Lester block. And what else is new?
And again,
Lester of the escort service.
You had a shot of Dick Geron just before that play. That's the 3rd consecutive blitz that Jacksonville has come with. And they pick it up again. Then when you pop the blitz with the run, you're going to get big yardage out of it. Good blocking by the Steelers. They block out the blitz and an open field for Bettis. And it's a little breather.
Jerome looking like he needs a breather.
George Jones spells him, the rookie from San Diego State. And Pittsburgh has to take a timeout after that long gain and the change of personnel. They normally have Bettison on 1st down, but he needed a blow. Trouble getting people in, and thus a TO. Early 3rd period, Jacksonville up by 10.
For those of you that are asthmatic, you can really appreciate the position Jerome Bettis is in. He's carried the ball 5 times in this drive. He goes to the inhaler over on the Steelers sideline. A long-suffering asthmatic. He had to take himself out of the ballgame. Couldn't get his breath.
And thus, he's replaced by George Jones, and the rookie from San Diego State inside the 20, spun down at the 15 behind a John Jackson block. George Jones, an 18-yard gain.
5th round draft pick. He actually put 2 years in at Bakersfield College, my old junior college. We talked about it tonight. San Diego State had great numbers at both the Bakersfield College and San Diego State. And the Steelers got him in the 5th round. They liked him the first time they saw him. He's very quick. Not as big as Bettis, goes about 205 pounds, gets good blocking there, but he makes a good cut off that block.
Well, we've seen the Corvette. Here comes the Freightways.
1st down from the 15-yard line. Bettis back. Bettis inside the 10 to the 7-yard line for a gain of 8. Behind a Tim Lester block, he's tackled by Robinson. 2nd down and 2.
Oh boy, this is an attention-getting drive on the part of the Steelers, starting back at their own 20-yard line.
Tim Lester, who threw the key block when Cordell Stewart ran the ball into the end zone in the 1st half, that time with the lead block for Jerome Bettis. Former teammates together with the Rams, and he never gets to carry the ball, but man, does this guy deliver some key blocks at the point of attack.
2nd and 2. Bettis and John Whitman now in the backfield, and it's Whitman, the fullback, who can pick up only a yard to the 6, setting up a very key 3rd down and 1.
Sometimes I wonder if that's not a play that just gives Bettis a break. He's a decoy and can take a play off.
Chan Gailey making the call, the offensive coordinator.
Not all that hot here tonight. Last night was up around 90 degrees. The kickoff was 78 degrees. It's less than that now. This is not an insufferable night.
3rd down 1. This is the opening drive of the 2nd half. Jaguars up by 10. Good part of the crowd rising, and Stewart will do it himself and take it inside the 5 to move the chains. 1st down, Pittsburgh.
Under Monty Dawson, the multiple Pro Bowl center. You've got a good athlete like Cordell Stewart, not a bad call.
Dawson and right guard Tom Mislinski really blew off the line of scrimmage. Dawson signed a new long-term contract with the Steelers for major money, but watch this. They go with the double team right on Kelvin Pritchett. That's an outstanding surge.
And now with a guy like Stewart, you can do a lot of things inside the 5. You can even run a down-the-line option if you want. Here it's a straight handoff, and there's no gain. We talked to Bill Cowher about that last night, and they actually have that play in the book.
Now they might have a television in the Jacksonville locker room.
That's right. That's true.
Don't
scratch that from the record.
And I think they might give Cordell Stewart's knee a couple more weeks before they start doing that.
Jerome Bettis with no gain there. 2nd down. Jim Haslett, the defensive coordinator. I think I had Dick Geron replacing Dick LeBeau before. If I did.
Well, the Steelers used half of this quarter on this drive.
Haslett.
I've almost done it 3 times already.
Yeah. Long season. 2nd and goal from the 4. Short drop. Fade pattern. Caught. Touchdown. Yancey Thigpen. He beats Aaron Beasley, and the Steelers are ready to pull within 3.
Oh, boy, I'll tell you, that's another step in the graduation of Cordell Stewart. He threw that perfectly. Beasley had good coverage, but that was a perfectly thrown football by Cordell Stewart.
And Bill Cowher in his major fire-up mode. Wonderful reaction by Thigpen, who sees the ball all the way. Beasley never sees the football. A really difficult position for a cornerback to be in.
Little acting on the part of Thigpen. He didn't want to give away that ball was right there.
Norm Johnson point after. That's the 2nd touchdown pass of Cordell Stewart's career, and both have come on Monday Night Football. Mr. Primetime of the moment. And all of a sudden it's Jacksonville 17, Pittsburgh 14. Stewart in his career a total of 3 touchdown passes, 2 of them to wide receivers, each in a Monday night game. Ernie Mills in '95 against the Cleveland Browns, remember them? And tonight to Thigpen. He threw one 2 weeks ago in their victory against Washington to a tight end to Mark Bruner. As Pittsburgh kicks off, it is Johnson sending it down to the 8-yard line, and Willie Jackson brings it back to the 19-yard line, and that's where Jacksonville will begin its drive. It's the first time they've had the ball in the second half. So the Jaguars have it. Here comes Brunell, his team up by 3.
On the field, I talked to Bill Cowher at halftime about the confusion in the secondary. He said the only time there was confusion was on the last drive of the first half that resulted in Jacksonville field goal, which means if there's no confusion, then Jacksonville has found a big weakness in the Steelers secondary, Al.
All right, thank you, Lennon. We'll see if they can exploit it again here at the 19-yard line. First down, and this time the Steelers are equal to the task. A promising defensive beginning as Natron Means gets knocked down by Kevin Henry behind the line of scrimmage.
If there's no confusion, then they're just willingly choosing not to cover people. That's not so hot.
Well, Wayne Weaver is the man who was at the forefront of bringing this team to Jacksonville. Chairman, president, CEO.
He took all the titles.
He did, yep. Nice man, good, and a man who worked very hard and against very long odds was able to procure this franchise for the nation's 55th television market in size. 2nd down and 14. And Brunell throws, and it's caught up at the 29-yard line by Pete Mitchell, the tight end, very close to a first down.
What Wayne Weaver was able to do here, Alan Frank, was to get everyone in this community hitched to the same wagon. A lot of times there is a lot of fragmentation, and people want this and another faction wants this, but Wayne Weaver was able to galvanize this entire community here in Jacksonville behind getting this franchise, and they did.
Brunell was trying to go back and work against Randy Fuller on that play. He was trying to go to Jimmy Smith. They had changed their coverage. They had Smith double covered, and he had to roll out, but he still got the completion.
On the 2nd and 14, they picked up a first down, and Means gets tackled again. So on first down on both plays now, Means has been tackled behind the line of scrimmage, this time by Earl Holmes.
Holmes got the tackle, but Joel Steed made it happen. He just moved that Jacksonville line back a couple of yards and got into the backfield. That was an excellent job of penetration by Steed. See Steed right there? He's the one that forces Natron to go sideways. He's just a little short in making the tackle, but he ruined the play.
2nd down and 12 from the 28-yard line. Brunell on the reverse roll. There's bumping. McCardell looks for the flag, but there is none. The pass thrown well over his head, and again it's Randy Fuller, the man of the moment, on the coverage. Nolan Harrison putting the pressure on Brunell that time.
Well, they have not stopped looking for Randy Fuller, and in this time they come from the inside. Little break to the outside. Fuller stepping back into the play. That time they were playing a zone on the outside. Fuller released his man and picked up the breaking Jimmy Smith.
Third down 12. 5 minutes left, third quarter. Jaguars up by 3 as they try to stay unbeaten. And with the play clock down to a half second, Brunell lost one, going deep again, and we've got a flag on the play because Randy Fuller was face guarding Jimmy Smith.
Oh, what a nightmare for Randy Fuller. Not a bad position there, but he knows he's the man. They're after him. They're looking for him almost every pass play.
Boy, at first look, I didn't think they got the playoff.
First down.
If he got that playoff, it was in 1/100th of a second.
And once again, a good blitz pickup on the part of the Jaguars. That gives you single coverage. Fuller was beaten, but the ball underthrown, and he came up with the interference.
Same old story. The defensive back played the man instead of the football. If you don't pivot the head, if you don't get an eyeball on that football, you're running the risk of getting the flag.
A 42-yard penalty, and then Natron Means picks up one. So Pittsburgh effectively stymieing Means, at least here in the third quarter. But the passing game, another story as you look down upon Old Tell Stadium. The Gator Bowl.
Second down and 9 at the 29.
Stadium formerly known as the Gator Bowl.
We know what you meant.
Oh, yeah, I know you did.
You were here, what, several times, Al?
I had to tell our producer, Kenny Wolf, what I meant by
And
that.
Don Meredith and I covered a Gator Bowl here one time. Like it'd never been covered before.
Yes, I'll bet. Second down and 9. And that's caught underneath by Keenan McCardell at the 27-yard line, setting up a third down and 7. Jacksonville and Carolina coming into the league at the same time. Their stories well chronicled, but it's kind of funny the way these teams are sort of intersecting at the moment. Carolina building a veteran team, an older team. Jacksonville a younger team. And even the Jaguars say, you know, everybody keeps thinking of Carolina as the better of the two, but at the moment, as Jacksonville tries to stay unbeaten, the Panthers are 2-2.
And Jacksonville has another thing on their side, youth. They are still a relatively young football team.
Third down and 7. And that's through the hands of Jimmy Smith. He can't make the play against Fuller in on the coverage, and it's fourth down, and Hollis will come in to attempt a long field goal.
Well, actually, he did make the play out. That was one of the second time that we've seen a bad throw by Brunell. Jimmy Smith was open. He came in on a slant. Brunell just overthrew it, and he knew it.
Well, I think we ought to pinch a guy.
Top of your screen, you'll see he's there. This ball is high and hot. Still could have been caught, but not a good throw. And Brunell knew it.
Mike Hollis, a 45-yard attempt. Parker to hold. And right down Broadway. Hollis good from 45. And with 3:25 left in the third, it's Jacksonville 20, Pittsburgh 14. The Bud 1 airship hovering high above the stadium here in Jacksonville, Florida. There she is, providing the scenics tonight. Monday Night Football coming here for the first time, and this is the 42nd stadium to host a Monday Night Football game in the 28-year history of the package. And next Monday night, stadium number 43 as we go to Charlotte. Hollis to kick off, taken at the 1-yard line by Will Blackwell, the San Diego State rookie, who is out past the 40, gets by Hollis, and Halleck finally knocks him out of bounds. He's the guy, Blackwell, with Ron Zook happy about that, who ran back the kick for what would have been a touchdown, except for the holding call in the first half. Good run back here. Steelers have it in Jaguar territory.
In the game of football, and a lot of it shown here by Bill Cowher. Talking to his defensive unit, telling them what he wants them to do the next time they get out on the field. But he's into it.
What they better do.
First down Pittsburgh from the 48. Cordell Stewart sets up a screen, and it's dropped by Bettis. Incomplete. 2nd down and 10.
Oh, and it was set up well. Will Wolford was out in front of it. That could have been big yardage.
Here's tonight's Monday Night Football fact brought to you by Prudential. Just one player in NFL history has had a rush, a pass, and a reception, each covering 70-plus yards. Now, Cordell Stewart has 2 of those 3, so he could be the 2nd player. But the only other guy is... Well, we'll tell you after the play.
Yes.
2nd down and 10. He's in the stadium tonight. Draw. Bettis. Big hole. And the bus rambles down to the 29-yard line for a gain of 19 and does that familiar little dance.
Another big run play with big yardage when you block out the blitz. Corner blitz that time for the Jaguars. It backfired.
Well, who is that guy, Al?
Well, it ain't me, and it ain't you.
No, it's not me, so that leaves
you.
And we put it all up, but it's all in black and white. You don't want to see it.
But look at that.
That's
a
great.
79-yard rush, a 77-yard catch,
83-yard pass play.
Who to, Frank?
Eddie Price.
Eddie Price.
Here's Bettis. Stop for next to no gain. Bill Cowher's team down by 6.
Not so slow that Rosie Brown made 2 blocks on that 79-yard run.
Rosie could run.
At the line of scrimmage and then downfield. He really did.
He wasn't a bad offensive tackle.
Oh, he could play today. One of the few. 6'5", 275. He was great.
2nd down and 10 from the 29-yard line. Stewart. Lofts it up. Tremendous adjustment by Charles Johnson. Beasley had position on him, but Johnson came back, and the 2 guys who linked for so many completions at Colorado in college, and Johnson says, hey, man, I just do what's necessary. 26-yard gain.
Great catch by Johnson. Poor Beasley. He was the one that Yancey Thigpen beat on the fadeaway for the touchdown earlier. This is almost the same thing. Now, Beasley's looking into the eyes a little late, turning around in. Great hand play on the part of Johnson to get both arms in front of Beasley.
Little Michael Irvin-ish there as he kind of clears Beasley out of the way. That could have drawn a call, but in today's age, the jockeying between receiver and corner, that goes.
Here's a roll by Stewart, looking for either running room or somebody to find. And he's forced out of bounds at about the 3 by Brant Boyer. You know, we try to keep track of about 1 million things here, but is this not the first time we've seen Bill Cowher wearing glasses on the sideline? It just dawned on me.
Well, I usually loan him mine when remember we have the meetings.
We've been doing that.
He only needs them when he reads.
I'd loan him mine, except then I wouldn't be able to read. Not the only guy that's eased his way into glasses.
Yes.
You 2 cheat with contact.
Hardly easing your way in when 50 million people are looking at you. 2nd down and goal from the 3. Pittsburgh trying to take the lead for the first time tonight, and Bettis can get it only to the 1-yard line, where it'll be 3rd down and goal with a half-minute left in the 3rd quarter.
Well, what a collision there between Tim Lester, the fullback. I think Brian Schwartz might have been his target. That's just classic goal line defense. Big guys throwing themselves at each other, and you can hear the pops clear up here in the press box.
And the Steelers will take it to the other end as the 3rd quarter winds down. End of 3. We're set up for another great finish. Jacksonville 20, Pittsburgh 14. Monday Night Football back after this from our ABC station. We're back in Jacksonville. Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Deerdorf, and Lynn Swan. Jacksonville leads by 6, but the Steelers have it at the Jaguar 1-yard line. 3rd down and goal as we start the 4th quarter. Stewart sends Whitman in motion. Fakes it to Bettis, who lays down a block and throws touchdown into the end zone to Mark Bruner, the tight end. 2nd time he's hit Bruner for a touchdown in 2 games, and Pittsburgh on the verge of taking the lead.
And we got somebody from Jacksonville who's down on the ground. Is that? Oh, it's Jurkovich. And a very, very nice comeback here. And boy, that's bad news as Jurkovich is afraid to put his right foot down on the ground.
Super call. Play action fake. Everyone on the Jaguars side of the defense is thinking they're going to see Bettis. Little play action and wide open. Big number 87.
Stewart making this pay off, and this was really set up by a great kickoff return, 52 yards by Will Blackwell, the San Diego State rookie.
Well, it's fun to watch Cordell Stewart. The little nuances come a few with each game.
Norm Johnson out of a Mike Tomczak hold, and for the first time tonight, as Jurkovich is assisted back to the locker room, and Stewart took a shot but still hit Bruner. Early in the fourth quarter, it's now Pittsburgh 21, Jacksonville 20. Four seconds into the fourth quarter, the Steelers with a lead for the first time in the game, and Norm Johnson to kick it off and send it down to the 5-yard line. This is Willie Jackson for the Jaguars. Jackson gets it out to the 28-yard line. Orpheus Roy makes the tackle. Next Saturday, college football comes your way early on. Those regionals, Ohio State, Missouri, Virginia, North Carolina, Texas, Rice, except on the West Coast. All of you will see Notre Dame against Michigan, the national telecast at 3:30 Eastern. On the West Coast, second half of the doubleheader, the Trojans against the Bears. USC takes on California. We go to Charlotte next week. The 49ers and Steve Young against the Carolina Panthers as Monday Night Football goes to Charlotte for the first time. Good battle, key battle in the NFC West next Monday night. Brunell from the 28. Gain of 7 as he hits Derek Brown.
And Greg Lloyd
got it right on the top of the hat. Dan.
That's dangerous. That is dangerous.
That's when things go numb.
And that obviously stunned Greg Lloyd. Ooh, the tremors just went all the way down the spinal column there.
He can smile now, but he thinks back to opening day last year when he ended his season on this turf.
Derek Brown gets his feet down on the ground. He's planted when he goes in there and makes contact. Greg Lloyd he's lucky he did not get hurt.
And Brown goes 270 pounds to Greg Lloyd's 235.
Second down and 3. Natron Means tries to cut it back and is able to lean forward into Kirkland to pick up a yard. It'll be third down and a short 2.
Boy, did you hear that collision up here between Means and Kirkland? Levon Kirkland is as hard a hitting linebacker as there is in this game. And when he goes in there mano-a-mano with Natron Means, that's only the big boys need line up for this kind of stuff.
Kirkland's another 270-pounder, and Means buckled his knees. I mean, that's a big hit.
Third, about a yard and a half, and they go to the shotgun, and Brunell will go downfield, and he hits Jimmy Smith, who beats Fuller again, and he takes it all the way inside the 20-yard line to the 19.
I said it earlier, Fuller's worst nightmare. He ought to change that jersey, because they're finding it. And they have from the very beginning.
Maybe he can put 26 on and tell everybody he's Rod Woodson.
Somehow or other they have to help him. And he has been the victim all night. And it's just almost impossible if the quarterback gets time for a cornerback to cover a wide receiver like Jimmy Smith. They have to know they're going to get help on the inside. They're going to get help underneath. They have to have some kind of help, and he's not getting it.
Spotted back at the 22-yard line, and Means reversing directions takes it down to the 20 after that 41-yard pickup on a 3rd and 1. Fuller up to make the tackle.
Again, Fuller in the game because of the injury to Chad Scott. Chad Scott, the rookie #1 draft pick out of Maryland, unable to go tonight. But Fuller he's played a lot of cornerback. He's been in on some big play for the Steelers. They just are victimizing him tonight.
And Pittsburgh is going to take a timeout with 2nd and 8 upcoming. 12:27 left in regulation. The Steelers lead the Jaguars by 1.
Hope my car gets fixed today.
Jimmy Smith was a 2nd-round draft choice of the Cowboys, but he was hurt. He had appendicitis. He had an acrimonious departure. He was signed by Philadelphia, released by them, and then signed by Jacksonville, and there were his numbers tonight. He's had a tremendous night with 7 catches, 131 yards and a touchdown. And it's 2nd down and 8 now at the 20-yard line. Brunell throws. It is not caught. It is incomplete. McCardle couldn't hold on at the 15. 3rd and 8.
Meanwhile, Mark Brunell is having a superb night, considering he has been not seen any action in 6 weeks. He's stretching his knee there at the moment. He is 18 of 32, 246 yards, a touchdown, no interceptions. Very competent.
I think this is a hit by Donnell Wolford. Yep, Wolford comes in and gets his right fist right on the football and knocks it away from McCardle.
You see how quickly Wolford was there, while the other side, Randy Fuller, is getting there much later. He's playing way off of Jimmy Smith on almost every occasion.
3rd and 8 from the 20. Steelers show blitz. Here they come. They picked it up, and it's knocked down at the 21-yard line by Jason Gilden, who stayed back in coverage and knocked it down. And speaking of getting knocked down, so was Brunell. 4th down.
That's one of the complicated blitzes that the Steelers are noted for. They load up the left side. You can see it here. They drop Gilden out of the rush, and he is right there to deflect the ball. Hurrying Brunell just makes a mess out of your timing, and it was very effective on that play.
Now a 38-yard field goal attempt by Hollis to try to give Jacksonville the lead back. Barker puts it down at the 28, and Hollis's kick is no good again. He's missed from 29. He's missed here, and he has really been a bright spot for the Jaguars until tonight. And Larry Pasquale, the special teams coach, exhibits his frustration. Jacksonville cannot retake the lead unless the Steelers get the ball back and lead by 1.
ABC's NFL Monday Night Football, brought to you by Ford and your Ford dealer. Have you driven a Ford lately? Sprint, where Monday nights are free and clear. The Home Depot, America's home improvement coach. And Visa, the official card of the NFL. It's everywhere you want to be.
Downtown Jacksonville, Jacksonville Landing. In your shot right there as we come back into Alltel Stadium. Pittsburgh has it at the 28-yard line after the missed Hollis field goal, and Jerome Bettis rambles for a 1st down before he's knocked out of bounds by Hudson. What a great shot that was. That's classic.
And a sense of humor.
Have a seat, Jerome. Okay.
You know,
oh, that's beautiful.
He's got a sense of style, doesn't he? Takes a shot right on the sideline. The bench vacated in a hurry. Nice job by Darren Perry sliding over. And
I'm home.
I'll cross my legs and take it. Somebody hand me my pipe and smoking jacket.
Levon Kirkland scrambling out of there. Oh, but you really have to admire the way the Steelers came out here in the 2nd half, down 20-7, and coming back those 2 long drives to take the lead.
Well, they're trying to do something, Frank, that nobody's done in this very young series here, and that's win on the road.
73,016. Largest crowd in the history of the Jacksonville Jaguars looking on tonight. 1st down at the 42-yard line. And Stewart throws and incomplete, intended for Yancey Thigpen.
Oh, and it was in there.
Well, since we're all in the same family, I'm sure at ESPN SportsCenter tonight we'll start with that shot of Bennis, and they'll say, take a seat, SportsCenter's next. Let's check in with Lynn Swan.
Well, just an update on Jerome Bettis, Al. On the sideline, they were saying that his breathing is a bit wheezy, but nothing serious. But what they were concerned about is that he ran out of the medicine in his nebulizer. That's a little thing he puts in his mouth and squirts. They went to the paramedics. They went to the ambulance. They had some extra, so he's got a refill now on the sideline.
Well, he's running out. They might have given him something else.
2nd down and 10 at the 42-yard line. The bust again. And he takes it to the 36-yard line. If the game is 6, it'll be 3rd down and 4.
Oh, he has rambled tonight, hasn't he? On a very warm night, coming off 134 yards 2 weeks ago against Washington. averaging almost 5 yards a carry.
And Jerome Bettis, who in each Monday night game last year gained over 100 yards, begins 97 with another three-figure game. 103 yards for JB. Third down, 4 out of the gun. And Stewart will keep it, but he'll be driven to the turf at the 39-yard line. Eddie Robinson.
That was a running play. That was not a read of by Cordell Stewart. That's a design play, a draw, quarterback draw. We've seen it twice tonight, and both times Jaguars stuffed it. Little step back. There's the block. Little hesitant getting in there. And the Jags were all over him.
Well, Dick Duran called the middle blitz and took away all the running lanes for Stewart.
Flag is down. Josh Miller will send this one into the end zone again. That's the second time he's done that.
I recommend going someplace other than where Bill Cowher is.
Oh, yeah. Cowher was all over him the last time.
Oh. Yeah, I'm sure he told him when he went out there not to do that.
Josh, head the other way, man.
Oh, he's hoping that this goes against the Jaguars.
Illegal formation on the kicking team. Number 41 was off the line of scrimmage. That penalty is declined. First down, Jacksonville.
There he is, as unhappy with his punter as he can be.
Yep. Cowher not joshing. 10:28 left in regulation. Pittsburgh by a point. Bill Cowher, a great coach, 11-3 in regular season games decided by 3 or fewer points. Our man Steve Hurt looked it up. That's the best record in the history of the NFL for guys who have at least 10 decisions.
Well, twice now Josh Miller has, from in close, kicked the ball into the end zone, and Bill Cowher he's really become exercised over it. I'm sure he told Josh Miller when he went out there, don't kick it into the end zone. And there's poor Josh, and you were right, Dan. He probably should have left the field on the other side.
Well, that sweat on Bill Cowher's brow was not there 2 minutes ago. He spent that entire timeout venting and screaming between Josh Miller and Ron Zook, the special teams coach. He took turns on both of them.
But you know, now it's over. That's a good way to, he gets rid of it, and it's gone.
From the 20-yard line. Jimmy Smith, and he picks up a first down, and again it's Fuller right in the middle of the action.
Boy, Jimmy Smith. We keep going to him. He's open on every play practically. They're still not helping Fuller.
This is what was going on. There he is at Ron Zook. That's not good enough. He wants a little more.
He wants blood. Look at the veins in Cowher's neck.
First and 10 from the 31. Means. Well, the funny thing is, among other things, on both Miller's punts, he's punted them down the middle. He hasn't even tried to angle his kick. So I have to think that, as much as anything, has aroused the ire of Cowher.
I guess his version of the pooch, Al. And,
too powerful of a pooch.
Yeah, well, that pooch didn't pooch.
Well, that pooch was a dog.
Big dog.
Second down and 9 from the 32-yard line.
And Jimmy Smith lined up once again, single coverage on you-know-who, number 29. Now they're going to help number 29.
Brunell throws, and that's caught. Short gain. McCardell tackled at the 35. It'll be 3rd and 6. Earl Holmes makes the tackle.
And Randy Fuller was in on that. In fact, Fuller was the first one to make the hit. Closed in a hurry. Give him a little credit when he does something good.
Yeah, well, that actually rolled into his zone on his side. They're going to try to protect him.
Well, Randy Fuller's the guy who actually helped Pittsburgh get to the Super Bowl. Remember that Hail Mary to Aaron Bailey in the championship game with Indy? It was Fuller who knocked it down 2 years ago.
That said, he's made some good plays for them.
Third down 6 from the 35-yard line as Brunell throws, and that's caught by Jimmy Smith for a first down. Dana Hall saluting him along the sidelines at the 45-yard line. Guess who on the coverage?
Well, forget the coverage, forget the throw. That's just a tremendous effort by Jimmy Smith, going high for a football that a lot of receivers would have whiffed on this one. This ball floats a little bit. Watch him get up in the air. Watch him elevate. Catches the back 8 of the football and is able to control it and bring it in. That is just fabulous work by Jimmy Smith, who's having a whopper of a night.
9 catches, career high for him from the 46. Brunell, good protection. Wobbly short pass and nearly intercepted by Fuller.
He has it. Perry knocks him down.
That ball must have slipped coming out of Brunell's hand.
And Fuller's liable to be hurt. He's hurt after the collision with his own man, Darren Perry. And Fuller's got this thing intercepted all the way until Perry hits him. Watch this.
Oh, and he got it right in the breadbasket. I'm sure he had the wind knocked out of him. He's leaving the field. Oh, he took a shot right in the stomach.
And it's 2nd down and 10, and J.B. Brown, the longtime Dolphin, comes in to take his spot as that one is knocked away.
Well, J.B. Brown was about to be tested. He was a starter for the Miami Dolphins for several years, but now he has replaced Randy Fuller.
Greg Lloyd, I think, was the Steeler that batted that baby away.
3rd down 10. 8:03 left in regulation. Pittsburgh leading 21-20.
Oh, J.B. Brown, I'd say, I want some help over here.
Steelers come, and they sack him. Breaking through was Myron Bell, a backup defensive back. There's a penalty marker down.
Nolan Harrison was involved in something with one of the Jaguars.
Referee Jerry Austin will give us the call in a moment.
This is a crushing penalty if this should go against Pittsburgh.
And the body language would indicate that it will.
That was an overload left blitz on the part of the Steelers. So many times you get a holding call when you get that kind of a blitz.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness. Number 74 of the defense. 15 yards, automatic 1st down.
Oh, Lord, that hurts.
Killer.
That hurts.
Nolan Harrison.
What'd he do, Bill Cowher is saying.
Well, the blitz is on the left side of the Steelers' defensive line.
This was way away from the play. Harrison's lined up over the center. He's now being blocked by Ben Coleman.
He's out of the play.
Oh, it's so far away from the play
that we didn't cover it.
Well,
he's way out of our coverage.
Harrison's leaving the field.
That was a killer. Oh, boy.
Randy Fuller is back in. Mike Vrabel, the rookie from Ohio State, replaces Harrison. 1st down at the 46-yard line. And Brunell throws and close to a 1st down as it is hauled in by Cardell on the far side of the 36-yard line. Jimmy Smith again. I'm sorry, Jimmy Smith making the catch. Donnell Wolford with the coverage. So Smith goes to the other side and makes the play.
Mark Brunell hasn't played in quite a while. We've documented that. And the ball's floating on him a little bit. He's extending his receivers. They're having to go up for the footballs. And, Frank, they're taking a punishment. They're getting hit in the back because they're having to go up in the air after Brunell's passing.
And Smith was shaken up on that play. A 1st down at the 35-yard line. McCardell in motion. And they give it to Means, and Natron picks up 2, taking it to the 33, or he's tackled by Carnell Lake.
And obviously, you can see that Randy Fuller is back in the game defensively for the Steelers.
He's back in, but Smith is out. Smith was shaken on that play, and he is out. And Smith is actually prone on the Jacksonville sideline. It is 2nd down and 8 as Brunell Gets protected well. Fires over the middle to a wide-open Reggie Barlow, who came into the game with Smith hurt, and Brunell finds him over the middle. Big gain, 18 yards, first down.
That time zone coverage on the part of the Steelers, and a good read by Brunell. It's amazing. And there is Jimmy Smith on the sideline as the medical staff and trainers work with him. But right in the slot, right in the hole in the zone, and a good catch by Reggie Barlow. 4th-round draft pick a year ago.
And Brunell is at an even 300 yards tonight.
And did you see how Brunell had to lean sideways just to see whether that was a completed ball or not? And with 1 second left on the play clock, 2 guys in motion, Mark Brunell, realizing it's a dead play, has to take a timeout.
Well, with Smith out, he's working with new personnel on 1st and 10 from the 15, and Jacksonville takes a timeout. They have 2 remaining.
And Smith, I think we're going to see again. He looks like he's all right.
Well, the last 2 Monday night games have been 1-point games. Oakland against Kansas City, Philadelphia against Dallas, and you can see it right up there, upper right of your screen. Another.
Well, but once again, you really have to admire Mark Brunell. 6 weeks ago, and 6 weeks and 2 days ago that he got the injury, the knee, had surgery on the knee, a couple of ligaments torn.
3 of them torn.
Hard to believe he's back in here doing what he's doing. He's having a 300-yard night. He's not scrambling like we're used to seeing him scramble, and certainly as we saw last year when he was absolutely brilliant down through the final 5 games of the season and through the playoffs.
Yep, does a lot of what Steve Young does, does a lot of what John Elway does. But tonight playing more conventionally, nonetheless still extremely effective, and they set up the screen, and Stewart gets a nice block, and James Stewart takes it to the 8, and is tackled by Lloyd.
Okay, again, a brilliant play by Brunell. Jason Gilden wasn't touched. Usually on your screen, you try to bump somebody on the outside, get some kind of a bump, but they had nobody in his face, and Gilden had a straight run at him, and somehow or other he read it and was able to deliver the football.
And a good block out in front of this. I think it's Dave Weidel, the center. Is it number 79 who gets the block? Let's look at the left of the screen. No, it's Pilski, 76, the right guard, who gets out there and clears away.
Second and 4. Jimmy Smith is back in the game. McCardell in motion, and Natron Means stumbles as he starts to come out of the backfield. Tackled by Kirkland. So Tom Coughlin watching his team trying to penetrate. And remember, this drive was kept alive. Fuller dropped what would have been an interception because of the collision with Perry. Nolan Harrison's penalty was a real killer. This pays off for Jacksonville. And right now it's 3rd and 3.
And I think that right now Tom Coughlin would much prefer to get it in the end zone instead of turning it over to Mike Hollis, who's been, to say the least, inconsistent tonight. Oh, another timeout.
Their second. Chris Palmer, the offensive coordinator, and
something is wrong with the communication. I don't think this was electronic. They either had the wrong personnel for the play they called. Brunell saw that. He knew he couldn't change it with the play clock running down, so he had to waste that timeout.
Bud 1 airship hovering high above the stadium here in Jacksonville, Florida. And more than 73,000 looking on. A reminder, you can check out the NFL at NFL.com. Scores, stats, video clip highlights of all the games at that address. We're just checking with the officials.
Was that a Steeler timeout? If the scoreboard is right, it was the Steelers.
Well, Brunell will get verification, but for the moment it is 3rd down and 3. You're being told there was a Steeler timeout. 3rd down and 3 at the 8-yard line.
That leaves the Steelers with none.
And the Jaguars with 2.
And they run the play clock down. Here comes the blitz. It's picked up, but it's also knocked down at the line of scrimmage. Big play. Chris Oldham, who comes in the dime defense, knocks it down. So now Hollis, who has made them from 20 and 45 and missed them from 29 and 38, to boot what will be a 27-yard field goal.
Well, but prior to that play, that was a big mistake on the part of the Steelers. They must have had the wrong personnel in there. Had to use that last time out. And that could really impact on them if they have to get a scoring drive underway.
Officially 27 yards. Hollis tries to give the Jags the lead back, and this one is good. And we have 4:14 remaining in the fourth quarter as the Jaguars lead at 23-21 in a young rivalry, but this is becoming one of the real good rivalries. The teams have played 4 games in the past. Jacksonville has won both games here, 95 and 96. The Steelers have won both games there. And this is number 5 and a very big game for both teams.
I like what the Jacksonville players say. It's not a real rivalry until Pittsburgh says it is. They're giving them respect. The Steelers have won the AFC Central 4 out of the last 5 years. And they realize, they being Jacksonville, that they have to beat Pittsburgh if they're to become Central Division champions.
Well, I'll tell you, this is, excuse me, Dan.
No, go ahead, Frank.
I'm just going to say for the Steelers, this is such an important drive they have coming up, because if they turn the ball over to Jacksonville, they're just pretty much out of it. They have no timeouts. They'll not be able to stop it except for the 2-minute warning. And this is really a gut check time for them. There's no question about it.
They've moved the ball effectively here in the second half. They've stalled a few times, but Cordell Stewart and Jerome Bettis have moved this Steeler offense.
Now this is a must-do.
I'm sure that all that's going through Tom Coughlin's mind right now is we're leading 23-21, but we ought to be leading 26-21. They should be up by 5 instead of 2. Hollis.
Short kick this time, 10-yard line. Blackwell swings to the outside, turns it back upfield, and another good run back for Will Blackwell, a rookie from San Diego State. And Ron Zook has watched his man give his team pretty good field position.
Oh, this is
great field position.
Outstanding work by the Steelers kickoff return team.
Budweiser NFL News. Orlando Pace, the #1 pick in the draft, will make his first start Sunday for St. Louis at Oakland. Cortez Kennedy, doubtful sprained knee for Sunday's game, Seattle at Kansas City. John Carney, doubtful sprained knee Sunday's game against Baltimore. Here it's first down from the 40-yard line. And Jerome Bettis angles his way to the 47. Second down and 3. Again, Tim Lester providing the block. Lester and Bettis teamed up as Rams. Lester came over. In fact, Bettis loves Lester so much. When Bettis went to the Pro Bowl last year, he brought Lester with him, paid for his trip.
Norm Johnson, the field goal kicker for the Steelers, has not kicked a field goal this year, but he can kick a long one.
Second down 2, a long 2, and Bettis gets knocked down by Eddie Robinson. Clock ticking down in regulation. Third down 2. Just another bit of news along the way. In addition to the Budweiser new baseball, Ken Griffey has hit 2 home runs tonight. He now has 55, and the game is still on. Seattle against Oakland. Third down, a long 2 from the 48-yard line. Stewart keeps it himself, takes it to the 49. Now you've got a 4th and 1.
You go.
And you have to go for it because you can't stop the clock except for the 2-minute warning.
Well, the last time in the 4th and 1, they went with a quarterback sneak.
Even if you had timeouts, you still go for it. At this point in the ball game and at this field position at the 49-yard line, you go for it any way you look at it.
4th and 1.
This is the option play for Stewart. He decided he could make it on the run.
Nice work by Jeff Lageman, turning it back to the inside.
They have to hurry.
Play clock ticks down. They get it off at 2. They need a yard. Stewart buying time. Throws. Flag is down for the moment. Johnson didn't make the catch.
I think
so
a
the
one-hop
pass is incomplete. Meanwhile, the flag is down.
It was a one-hopper to Johnson.
Pass was incomplete. Penalty against Jacksonville. Hands to the face.
Illegal use of hands to the face. Number 94 of the defense. 5 yards. Automatic first down.
Kelvin Pritchett. And that takes us to the 2-minute warning, which comes with 1:54 left in regulation. Hang on. Another fantastic finish upcoming.
Kelvin Pritchett right here. Here's Myslinski in the background. Watch the left hand of Pritchett right up on the face mask. Not yet. There it is. There's the illegal. He bends Myslinski's head all the way back and keeps it on the face mask. And that is a flagrant foul by Kelvin Pritchett. And it gives Pittsburgh, you might call it, a critical first down.
Well, you saw Norm Johnson. Will he have a game-winning attempt? Meanwhile, Pritchett was in the game because, remember, Jurkovich went out before with a sprained knee and has not returned. Wayne Weaver, the head of the Jaguars, looking on. His team tenuously holding on to a 2-point advantage. Power Steelers with nary a timeout.
And Johnson hasn't even attempted field goal this year.
No, and remember, Chris Jackie's their regular kicker, but was hurt in preseason, hip flexor. They brought Johnson, their once and present kicker, back in off the street.
And his best over 17 in career, 54 yards.
First down.
73,000 are really loud.
From the 46. Stewart throws and adjusting and making the catches. Yancey Thigpen, they're in range now. To the dismay of Coughlin at the 25-yard line, first down.
Boy, I'll tell you, that's hours and hours of work. Cordell Stewart throwing that ball to Yancey Thigpen on just almost what you would call a fade into the end zone. Now look at Thomas. He's wrapped up looking at Thigpen. The ball's in the air. Thigpen comes back for it. Thomas has no clue it's coming. Great timing.
First down at the 25. Steelers don't have to be in a hurry right now. They just need to work the ball a little deeper to give Johnson a better chance and take as much time off the clock as they can to leave Jacksonville with nothing. So they give it to Bettis on the ground, and he loses two. Don Davey makes the tackle.
I wouldn't be that patient.
No, you get as much as you can. You got a field goal kicker, hasn't kicked one this season.
No, I might like to get in the end zone.
Yep. Well, you're still playing two games here right now. One is to at least get the ball deep enough to give Johnson a very good chance, and the other is to leave Jacksonville with nothing on the board.
What are you looking at here now? You're looking at about a
42, 43.
43?
Yep. Second and 11. Johnson has not attempted a field goal in 3 games this season. And they give it to Bettis. And Bettis breaks the tackle. He takes it to the 22. He broke a tackle by Hudson. Now you're looking at about a 40-yard field goal. And at some point you're going to have to spike the ball to stop the clock. And the way the clock is running right now, it's going to come right here.
And Norm Johnson's worked up a lather.
Oh, boy.
You don't want a penalty.
This is where you do it. So it comes down to this. Norm Johnson, he was let go because they signed Jackie from Green Bay. On the street, couldn't find a job, brought back when Jackie was hurt. Norm's been around Seattle, Atlanta, out of UCLA in his 15th season at the age of 37, comes in to try to win the game.
He's been in a lot of clutch situations, but he just did not kick this season.
And Jacksonville put the tall guys on the other side. Tom Coughlin's yelling at him, get up. Get up in the air. He's liable to drive it low.
Jacksonville take time out. Let him think about it. A lot of drama here tonight.
Let's go back and take a look at this Pittsburgh play.
Ooh. It's a spike. It's close to a backward pass, though.
But even they don't really take a look at that. That's a spike. That's a move the quarterback is allowed to make, and that thing could go just about anywhere.
You think better call that Bill Cowher might have got in their face?
That might.
He might have eaten their face.
It would have made him forget Josh Miller.
Yeah, but you never. I mean, you never know. There's an official who's going to play it absolutely by the book. In any event, it's moot right now because there was no call, and Johnson gets ready to try to win the game. If he makes it, that would be 3 Monday night games in a row that end with a 1-point differential. Last week we saw the drop by Tom Hutton on what would have been a game-winning field goal by Boniol. Now Mike Tomczak to put it down right at the 30, a 40-yard kick. Jim Sweeney, Stewart can barely look.
A bad snap.
And it blocked.
It was a bad snap.
Sweeney snapped it. It was a bad snap. And Chris Hudson's going to roll all the way to the end zone.
There are no flags.
Travis Davis is the guy who blocked it.
A bad snap, and Tomczak couldn't get it set. Well, have we seen some endings these last 3 weeks, or have we seen some endings?
Jacksonville has now won their last 3 games with a different quarterback in each game.
The Jaguars, and they score a touchdown on the play. Here it is again. There's supposed to be an extra point attempt upcoming. Don't count on it.
Tomczak couldn't do much more with that. The ball snapped low. One hopped into Tomczak.
And the exclamation point is put on it, as it was Travis Davis with the block, and then Chris Hudson with the exclamation point. And so much for what should be a game-ending extra point attempt.
2 weeks in a row now, we see a field goal where you can't set the ball for the kicker. Saw it in Dallas. Now we see it in Jacksonville.
Amazing.
I think Wayne Weaver's saying, are you sure that happened?
Mr. and Mrs. Weaver, they can't believe it. Their team is unbeaten. Tom Coughlin's team has not lost a regular season game since last November in Pittsburgh.
Tom Coughlin, call Barry Switzer. He'll tell you just how it feels.
And the Jacksonville Jaguars alone on top in the AFC Central.
Oh,
Howard
wow.
can't believe it.
He almost came on the field for the tackle.
Almost a Woody Hayes shot there.
Oh, well, they couldn't wait for Monday Night Football to get to Jacksonville, and how about that for a football game?
I wonder what's going to happen with Carolina and the 49ers. I want to be there.
We'll be there next week. Another wild one on Monday night. The Jaguars win it. The final score is 29-21. Until next Monday, Al Michaels, Frank Gifford, Dan Dierdorf, Lynn Swan. Good night from Jacksonville.